Here we are again. Second time lucky, third time lucky, fourth time lucky. I'm not sure what time lucky it is this time, but we're here again with our third guest of the Couch to Coach podcast. We've had Ken Rushton from the NSRRA a couple of weeks ago. Then we had Barefoot Blade 3 weeks ago, and now we have Adam Burgess, an Olympian. The bar has been set.
Welcome.
Cool, yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to getting into it again. It was a good chat last time, so hopefully we can recreate.
So for people that don't know, we had a bit of an issue. We had a conversation. So this is the second conversation we've had with Adam, and we've just been saying we're really looking forward to having the same conversation, kind of, because we were so impressed with last time, so in awe of what Adam was talking about. So we will definitely get the best out of me and Ben, and also Adam. So I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, Adam, again.
Yeah, so I'm Adam Burgess. I'm a canoe slalom Olympian. And I guess I'm here as well because I'm a breathwork teacher. My dad's friends with Rob. There's a local link there. I've since moved away, so I actually live at the Lee Valley Whitewater Centre down in Hertfordshire. So I'm based there where canoe slalom was held at the London 2012 Games. But yeah, I grew up in Stone in Staffordshire, started canoeing on the River Trent, and still here doing my thing.
So is Lee Valley like the home of British canoe slalom then?
Yeah, that's right. Pretty much if you're serious about the sport in this country, you need to base yourself out of here. I mean, it's the best facility in the world for canoe slalom. So yeah, we're incredibly lucky to have it in Britain, and yeah, I mean, me personally, incredibly lucky that it's literally in my back garden.
Yeah.
In terms of countries, who's like the big powerhouses in canoe slalom? Is Britain a big powerhouse?
We're definitely up there. But I mean, ahead of us, probably Czech Republic, France, Germany, Slovenia, Slovakia are also very good. It's very like European dominated.
Yeah.
Except in the women's, there's an Australian girl who wins almost everything. But yeah, otherwise it's very European kind of focused.
So like for example, if I wanted to go out for a run, I could just go out and I could go running around the streets of Stoke. If you just fancy us going out and doing a bit of canoeing, can you just go into Lee Valley and just do what you want to do, or has it got to be all set and diarised?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend jumping straight on Olympic level whitewater for your first try.
Don't give them any ideas. Don't give them ideas.
Yeah, but no, it's getting more and more accessible these days. There's lots of different ways to access paddle sports. It doesn't necessarily just have to be slalom. Stand-up paddleboarding, for example, has kind of been one of the things that's really taken off lately, and just a really easy way to access the water and paddle sports. And I mean, there's just obviously I'm biased because it's kind of what I do, but just being on a river and on a whitewater river, it's like being on a playground. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
When you learn to kind of be safe and control that environment, it's cool. And it's one of those things you've got to build up to. So you start off on flat water, or only very slightly moving water, and just start to build it up slowly. Yeah.
I mean, we can't see Rob's face, but I imagine if we could, he's already thinking about his venture into canoe. He's going to sack me off the podcast, and I can tell we had a joke about it before we actually started recording, but I can see it in 5 years' time. Couch to Canoe, the podcast. It's coming.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good initiative.
Yeah, well, that's it. I'll go from couch to coach, get myself in the realm of running, then I'll venture out. I have got size 14 feet. For the listeners that know that, I've got size 14 feet, so I don't need a canoe. I can use my shoes. I could just use my shoes. I need
flippers. So, how did you get into it then, Adam? So, obviously, you talk about you're a local lad to Stone. How did you get into it in terms of actually starting this hobby and what is now a career?
Little bit of luck and like a bit of coincidence. But my school, Walton Priory, had a link with Staff and Stone Canoe Club, and they wanted a group of kids to start. And actually, I wasn't part of that initial group that started out. There was like a little slip of paper, we had to get it signed by our parents to say, we were allowed to go along, and I think that just lived crumpled up in my bag. I was pretty interested to give it a go, but just not organized enough to get that sorted out. But yeah, I remember about 6-7 weeks in, someone dropped out, and it just happened to be my form teacher, who had that connection, and she just asked, "Oh, does anybody want to give it a try?" Kind of just tentatively put my hand up, and it's like, yeah, like I'll give it a go. And yeah, it kind of blows my mind a little bit that it was like just a small kind of spur of the moment decision like that, and it's shaped the rest of my life so far.
And you've gone from that to, I suppose, the epitome of what you want to do in any career is to get to, I suppose, in sport, something like the Olympics. So talk to us about the Olympics. What was the journey like to get from there to the Olympics? What was the training like, and all sorts of different things?
Yeah, I mean, just journeys like that have like a lot of ups and downs. You learn an awful lot on the way there as well. I guess at the start, the main thing was just that I just loved it from the word go. Really enjoyed myself.
Were you good at it?
Or
did you have to serious? I mean, obviously anything comes with serious hard work to get to where you got to. But were you good and people spotted it and thought, "Well, this kid's really good," or was it trial and error in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, pretty early on, I think like we knew I could be really good. Although I remember my very first race, I was almost last. But yeah, I mean, particularly when I started in the canoe as well. So we have two events in canoe slalom. There's canoe and kayak.
Yeah.
The kayakers are sat down with their legs out in front, paddling on both sides of the boat, and I do canoe. I'm kneeling in the boat and I'm just paddling on the one side.
This blew my mind last time. Sorry to interrupt you, but it blows my mind every time. I've heard this like 3 times now. So Rob telling me, you telling me, and I'm like, we finished the failed episode last week, and the first thing I said to my wife is, "Oh, it didn't work." But do you know he's kneeling in the canoe?
So yeah, and it was when I started that there was kind of, I remember pretty early on it was kind of picked up. It was like, I could be really good at this, and I just seemed to naturally pick it up a bit better. I was a bit more excited by it. It was, I guess, a bit of it's like a greater technical challenge, I think, in the canoe, because obviously we're sat a bit higher up. There's the balance thing. But also only paddling on one side of the boat, or with one hand even. So you reach over the boat to paddle on the other side. We call it a crossbow. I guess it's kind of like in tennis having a forehand and a backhand. So the crossbow, or like the offside, is to start with more difficult. After 20 years, it can become, sometimes you want stuff on your offside. Because you've really learned how to make that faster. What were we saying? Are we talking about the journey all the way to the games? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, just kind of progressed through the British ranking system as a junior, and started to make kind of like British junior teams, under 23 teams, and then finally as a senior. And then, yeah, I guess Rio was probably the first time that I was sort of in contention for a spot. I mean, the really difficult thing for us is that whilst 3 people make the team in each category to go to the World Championships, World Cup circuit, like all of our races, only 1 person gets to go to the games.
That's crazy. Out of the whole of the UK, 1 person. That blows my mind. And you were that 1 person for how many years ago? 3 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And for that one, I mean, that selection process was brutal. There were three of us going for it. We were all top 10 in the world. You know, we'd all won senior international medals at like the highest level.
Yeah.
And yeah, only one of us could do it. So yeah, it was brutal. It went down to the wire. And at the end of it, I came out on top, which was obviously, you know, amazing for me, and had just the best experience. You know, the whole journey to Tokyo, even despite the postponement by a year.
Yeah, I can remember. I can remember you get. I was living it with your dad. It was bizarre because I was there with your dad, because your dad told me that you got through to actually be in the Olympics. He was really excited, well, as everybody was. I'm sure you were. But then, obviously, with COVID hitting, it was like postponed, and it was like Dean had booked to go, and then he couldn't go, and then he could go, and it was like I was living it with him, because obviously we worked quite closely together. So it's actually happened, and it was. I can remember watching you on television as well. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it was so good, and just to get there in the end, and it happened. You know, with everything that was going on in the world at the time, you know, we were just so relieved. I wasn't fussed. I wasn't phased by the fact it was postponed.
Mm-hmm.
It was like just let it happen. As long as it happens, I'm kind of okay. As long as I got that date in my calendar to aim for, then it was all good. And yeah, you know, finished fourth. Bittersweet one. You know, it's
was it 0.16 of a second or something like that?
Yeah, that's it. That was
blink of an eye. Blink of an eye.
And it's bittersweet, but I'm still here. And I want more next time.
And what does next time look like? So I'm assuming you're going through that selection process again, or how is that working around for you to get to Paris? Is it next year, France?
Yeah, so the next Olympic Games is in Paris. And I mean, from what I understand, selection has kind of started already. Our policy is kind of still in its kind of consultation phase, but it's going to be a little bit different this time. Last time around, you sort of knew when you crossed the finish line who was going. We had a point system; it was all very clear. This time around, it's going to be a little bit subjective. They've found it really difficult to come up with a system that is self-selecting. They're calling it, so like a point system essentially over races, but they found it difficult to come up with a system that, you know, doesn't have a scenario that they can think of that looks a bit unfair. So to try and mitigate against that, there will be a kind of subjective element to it, but it's based on this thing that they're calling like a medal profile, and ultimately, you know, we'll send the team with the best chance of bringing home the most medals. And yeah, hopefully I'm a part of that. Things are looking pretty good so far. We've got a home world championships here in London to look forward to this year. We'll have 2 selection series for the British team this year and for the British team next year. That's to select the top 3. I mean, so far, I think I'm unbeaten this year in training on this course. Last year in races, I think only 2 people managed to beat me on 2 runs, and they were the last 2 Olympic champions. But then I had them on other days. So yeah, no, it's looking pretty good right now.
So we said this last time on the podcast, and I'm going to say it again. When you do get a gold medal at Paris, will you come back onto the podcast and tell us about it all? I promise you, by that point, we'll be a bit more slicker, and we won't have to get you back 3 times. It'll be a lot easier. That'll be a lot easier to do. Will you come back to us and tell us all about the winning gold in the Olympics?
We'll have a recording studio.
We can do that.
We'll
I like that you use the word when as well. I'm into that.
Say that again.
I like that you're using the word when, not if.
Yeah, when. Absolutely.
This is the language that I'm using as well. I'm a big believer in the kind of, you know, manifesting these kind of things.
Definitely.
It'll be a recording studio in Rob's front room, or his playroom, as he's told us he's sitting in.
Currently sat in my playroom, surrounded by all the toys.
So, Adam, what does obviously you've gone through a lot of good achievements so far, and obviously Paris is your current target. What does the training look like, or what has the training looked like? How's that evolved over your career in canoe slalom, and what's it looking like in, say, the next 12 months? How do you prepare for all this?
This is something that just fascinates me, always has done. Probably the thing that is, I think, will continue to keep me in the sport for years to come is just a never-ending process of like evolving the training plan.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of belief in my plan at the moment. I really back the work that we're doing. I'm trying to spend as much time as possible paddling whitewater. That's the crux of it. What we need to do around that to support that whitewater training, we do as well. And at the moment, what it looks like is, so I'm on the whitewater every morning. Yeah. When I finish my first session, straight after that, I'm in the gym. And then 3 afternoons a week, I'm on the whitewater again, and the other 2 afternoons are for rest. So it's kind of like having a normal job. Like, it's Monday to Friday, take the weekend. Historically, I've trained 6 days a week. Last couple of years, dropped it to 5, and actually feel like I get a bit more done. Like over a year, there's not much that I can't recover from. I feel like, with 3 good nights of sleep from Friday, ready to start again Monday. And it's the confidence that you can hit that week with, and the confidence that it doesn't really matter if I'm feeling tired, like Thursday, Friday. I know I've got those 2 full days to recover.
And when you say we, sorry, there's a team behind you, I understand. Like,
yeah, yeah. This is a funny one, actually. I do say we a lot, even though it's an individual sport. It's kind of subconscious.
That's what Rob does when he talks about his running. He talks about it as we,
yeah,
his coach.
I like that. It's cool. It's cool. It's a really good way to be. But yeah, no. So I have a team that supports me. Like, primarily, it's my coach, Craig Morris. We're working together. We're a group of 3. I've got another teammate, Kim, as well. She competes in both events, kayak and canoe, in the women's. But yeah, essentially, we're both working like 1-to-1 with Craig, or 2-to-1. And outside of that, we've also got strength and conditioning coach, physio, video analysis, psychology, performance lifestyle, medical team, bits and bobs. So, but they're there to support like the whole team. A big part of what I like to do is, really bring these guys in, kind of into my journey, get them really kind of backing kind of my project as well. Because like, we all share in that, and you kind of feel it, like, those moments, like in Tokyo, we're a much smaller team out there, but it really felt like we were working towards that together. And just like nice moments there, like in the team area, like after I finished competing and stuff, it's like with those guys, it's really cool.
One thing I've always wondered. Go on, Rob.
When we were thinking about having you on as a guest, obviously being an Olympian and sport, and it's been a running podcast, the one thing that I was really interested in was that it is such a singular sport where like running. How do you get from that? How do you get into that mindset when you're being coached? Because I'm the same. I get coached by Ben. I have phone calls with Ben, and he sets me a training program. But it's all down to you at the end of the day, isn't it? I suppose you are the person that does the race and that does the event. What kind of things go through your mind when you're going from that position where you've got everybody with you to actually doing the race or the event?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like a big strength. No coach or team can win it for you, but they can certainly put so much into the project. So I like to see it almost like we're almost like a Formula 1 team, and I'm just like the driver. The psychologist, she's working on the onboard computer. Strength and conditioning is trying to add a few more horsepower to the engine. That's how I like to see it. And then, like, when you're up there, you're on your own, and that's kind of cool too. I really like that moment just before competing. But then, yeah, like I like two things about it really. Yeah, I like the fact that I'm on my own. I feel like you learn a lot about yourself in that space. Those moments are so intense, and not many people get to experience feelings like that. But at the same time, you kind of feel the energy and the support of, the team that have been involved in that project, but also, family, friends, other supporters, people back home, all of that, people there on the riverbank. And that's all super cool too.
And when you go to Paris and you get that medal, this is going to happen. Does the team get medals, or is it just you that gets the medal? I've always wondered that with the Olympics, because they have teams. The coaches get medals as well. We've got to look after the coaches.
No, yeah,
coaches union. Come on,
just the athletes. But yeah, I mean, if I was to do it next time, and maybe I can do something around that. Yeah, maybe we could start a tradition.
Well, I went to Rugeley. Ben didn't come with me. As it was individually running but couldn't come. But I picked him up a medal. I picked him up and a hat as well. So I'm going to be sending them to him. So we can start that tradition here. We're gonna strike, and we're gonna get the coaches all the medals as well.
Coaches, I mean, I'm not disrespecting Rugeley 10, but it's not the same as potentially picking up a bronze or silver or gold from Paris, right? Let's have a look at your recovery then, because you've said that a lot of it is about sort of your being able to do more during the week. And there's a famous quote that I put on Instagram yesterday from a coach called Steve Magnus. It's more of a formula, and he says that stress plus rest equals growth. So giving yourself optimum recovery time is something that you've found a balance of quite well by the sounds of it.
Yeah, always learning. I do think I've put myself into a bit of a hole the past few weeks, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be the best at rest. That's my little slogan. It's one of those things at this level, and because we do such a cool sport, everyone loves to go canoeing in our game. No, everyone wants to be out there training. It's very easy to overdo it, and also you're just not gonna out train anyone. Like, everyone's working hard. It's just, I've been asked before to do like various talks and things, and they're saying, can you talk about hard work and things like that, and like how you get where you are. And I just think at this stage, that's just a given. Like, if you're not working hard, then you're not even kind of in the equation. There's other things at play, and yeah, I think some of the hardest stuff to do is actually resting properly. It's everything you're doing outside of the training. And then maybe if you're getting that right, maybe you can train a little bit more and out train people.
And what are your sort of, without giving any sort of secrets away to your direct rivals, because they might be listening to the show, we never know. What are your big tips for rest? Because I know you're obviously into your breath work. We want to talk about that a little bit separately in a minute. But what are your big sort of things that you do for rest and recovery?
I sleep a lot.
Ideal.
Yeah, it's the basics, I think it's something I see a lot of people make mistakes with is trying to do all the complicated things first. What are the supplements they should be taking, and like all this stuff, and just do the basics right. Get enough sleep. Sleep is almost like top priority when it comes to rest. Do what you need to do to look after that. Get a good sleep routine, waking up at the same time in the day. Actually, almost everyone has an alarm to wake up in the morning. Not many people have an alarm when they need to start winding down to go to bed. I have one. It goes off. It'll go off in about half an hour.
Come on, Rob, wrap it up.
That's my cue to start winding down. That gives me an hour and a half to be asleep. So yeah, like, rest is best. Get your sleep in.
Sorry, go on. Carry on.
I try to get a nap in as close as I can to my session. Snack, nap, brew is what I say. So I get home, I have a snack, I have a nap, and then I brew a coffee.
That sounds like me when I'm on annual leave this week, and I'm like, I could just go for a nap, but I can't because I've got other things to do. But it is, I suppose.
This is So one of the perks of it being my job, being an athlete, is you do get to look into all of these things, and 2 naps in the day is work. It's my job to do that.
I think it's Cristiano Ronaldo like sleeps for like, I think it's like 8 hours in the day as well as at night as well, doesn't he? He talks about that. It's crazy.
I mean, as a running coach, I always try and test the workouts that I'm going to give to the runners that I prescribe them for. So I might start saying to Rach, my wife, that I need to test the recovery side of it and get a couple of naps in. Adam's told me, what is it, snack rest brew or something you said it was?
Nap brew.
Snack nap brew. I'm going to be doing that twice a day, I think, from now on.
And I noticed that you do a lot of, again, I said it on the last time we met, I've been doing a bit of stalking of your Instagram, that you do a lot of recovery with ice baths as well, so in the ice. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's a little bit different actually at the moment. So it's not so much about recovery for me, the ice. Okay. So yeah, I love the cold. Well, no, actually that's wrong. I hate the cold. I hate being cold. But, the cold water, when you go beyond just being a little bit cold and miserable for an hour, when you're having a short, sharp burst of really intense cold, it kind of goes beyond that, and it's this like euphoric kind of feeling. And yeah, I start every day either with a cold shower or cold plunge. It's during the week it's usually just a cold shower, and then the weekends we've got a lake nearby that we can walk to. It's actually starting to warm up a little bit now, but yeah, not so long ago we were breaking the ice to get in there. And but yeah, no, I think it's more of a mental game, that is, for me. A mental game, and kind of more of the other health benefits beside the recovery.
Does a breath work come into that as well then? So because I know I've done an ice bath, not as fancy as getting into lake like you and breaking the ice. Tipped a few bags of ice in my bath and got in there, and it takes your breath away. So I suppose, is it about regulating your breath when you're getting into there?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's about regulating your breath. So I'd say it's about breath control rather than breath work. I really don't like the term breath work. I'm trying to move away from that. I'm not sure what the replacement is going to be yet. But yeah, no, with the ice, it's about breath control. So you can get your breath under control before you get in. I like to get into a nice rhythm. Usually I'm counting it in for 5, out for 10, something like that. And then I always step into the cold at the start of my exhale, and I just count it down. And for me, that seems to control the shock response.